Game dev YouTuber Dani recently released his new game on Steam. Muck is a survival RPG where you hit stuff, take that stuff to craft stuff, hit more stuff and also hit some enemies. You can also play multiplayer with friends. All in all, it's pretty fun and I recommend you check it out yourself, and you should also wishlist Carlson. But do you know what I think this game is missing? Some brutal ways to destroy these annoying people and monster and rocky things. So I decided to add a gun to Muck. Since we know this game was made in Unity, there are some tools we can use to do this. dnSpy is a software that decompiles the runnable and turns it back into the original code. This can be used to understand how the game works, and you could also directly change stuff in there and recompile it. But that would mean replacing the original game files, and I don't want to do that. For that reason, I'm also going to use BepInEx, a modding software for Unity. After copying the files into Muck's game folder, this allows me to run custom code in the game. These pieces of codes are called plugins or mods. Using BepInEx allows for an easy installation, removal and also updating of mods. BepInEx also includes something called harmony. This can be used to patch methods from the game. Basically, I can look into the original game code with dnSpy and decide to run custom code before or after a specific method, or replace a method entirely. So with these tools, adding a gun should be possible. The first thing I did was create a project for my plugin and simply print hello world to the command line on startup to confirm everything was working. This took a few tries, but in the end it worked. Next, I wanted to create a way to add items to my in-game inventory, since I need that for testing my gun after I add it. Since the game has multiplayer capabilities, it also has a chat. I found the method in the original code and added my own code that runs before it using harmony. This code checks the typed message in the chat, and if it starts with a colon, it skips Dani's original method, so it doesn't appear in the chat for everyone. I now had a way to write in-game commands, so I made a command to give me an item by a specific ID and also by the name of the item. As you can see, I can now get whatever I want without much hassle. One of, if not the most important thing for this to work, is actually adding a gun model to the game. I can easily spawn models that already exist in the game files, but adding my own stuff took a bit of experimenting. In the end, I used Unity's asset bundles. This is a way to take objects and prefabs from your own Unity project and save them in a file that can later be imported via code. So, after creating a bundle with the gun in my own Unity project, importing it, getting 1000 lines of errors, downgrading my Unity version to a 2019 version, Dani, please update your Unity, and importing it again, I could finally load the gun model in my code and spawn it using a chat command. With this working, I next created a method that runs after the original items are created in the game. This method adds my own items. For this, I simply copied the existing bow and changed the name and the description. Using my command, I can now spawn a gun, but it's still just a normal bow. Now I simply had to replace the mesh of my gun item to correctly display the gun model instead of the bow. Correctly display. This gun may now look like a gun, but it still shoots like a bow. So next I added code to change the interaction when the gun is selected. For this I copied the method when the mouse button is released for a bow, shooting an arrow, and added it for the mouse button press for the gun, because it has no charge up time. After changing some variables and materials, the gun now shoots a fast projectile that deals big amounts of damage. I also added a gunshot sound when shooting, because without it the gun really doesn't feel as good. I had some problems doing this and didn't find a simple way to remove the original sound, which is why the gunshot sound and the bow sound are simply played at the same time. I wanted this gun to also be available without the chat commands, so I added a crafting recipe and made sure it appeared under the tools tab on the workbench. So now it's time to test the gun. I'm pretty happy with the results, although there are still some things I would like to change in the future. While editing this video, a new update of Muck was released, but my plugin should still be compatible. It should also work in multiplayer, although I haven't tested it yet. After coding this plugin, I'm confident that nearly everything can be added to Muck or changed, and I'm very excited to create and see others create some more interesting mods.